Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Football Nation podcast. First podcast that we have done under the new banner. Welcome along. I'm joined by my co-host Crazy Boom, and tonight we have a special guest for you all from Barca Talks. Gabriel, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm here on vacation. I'm here in California, so I'm still in the morning time. So yes, but getting ready for
Off.
the holidays for sure.
Nice. And Boom, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good.
Very good, very good. So we have got a lot to talk about tonight, but so we'll start off with tonight. So the first one, what was your opinions all on the World Cup final on Sunday? Gabriel, come to you first as you're our guest.
Yeah, it's taken me a couple days to process this final because I was watching it on the flight from Madrid to the US. And I did not plan this properly because I didn't realize that the World Cup final, I just forgot about it. And watching the match was so tense for me because I was pulling for Messi so
Yeah,
bad, and the roller coaster of emotions that this final was insane. You couldn't write this for a movie, this type of ending, ups and downs, Mbappe, Messi, two heavyweights, and ultimately perfect penalties from Argentina and Messi becoming the champion. I mean, it had everything you would want as a football fan, and also I would say if you were to present this match to anybody that doesn't follow football, this is the match that you would show of just why we love this beautiful game.
definitely, definitely. I mean, we done a watch along on Sunday for it, and boom, what was the emotions like on Sunday? It
It was
was
it was a very interesting time.
yeah,
The fact
definitely.
that Argentina were completely dominant and France were out of the game, then suddenly in about a matter of seconds, Mbappe just becomes Mbappe. He was missing for like most of that game, and then out of nowhere, he showed us why he's talked as the next like argument with him and Holland. Next big debate.
Yeah, definitely. I thought the game was like Gabriel said, it was probably one of the best games we've ever seen especially for a World Cup final. Like you
Yeah.
said, if you were to watch that over and over again, you would think it was scripted, but it
And the fact
was.
that you score a hat trick and still lose a match.
He actually scored four
Yeah.
goals if you think on it, including a
Hmm.
penalty.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was your overall? I mean, obviously Barca. What was your overall emotion when you seen Messi lift that trophy at, at full time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, it closes the debate, and finally, because I live in Madrid, and most of my Real Madrid fans, they always hold the Champions League over Barca fans. I mean, that's the biggest thing that they hold over. And now, obviously, with the Ronaldo fans, they kind of include that as well. But now with the World Cup, that's just the crown jewel on Messi's career because,
Yeah,
if we look at the things of stats, which I love looking at stats. I mean, Messi's top, but what was eluding him was the World Cup, obviously, especially even in his own country for the last, 18 years of tournaments. But he was able to finally get that. And I think just the way he was able to do it in this World Cup and pull through, because I have been pretty critical of him in his international duties of not pulling the team, not being an extreme leader, what they needed. And I think all that experience that he learned, all of the moments, he was not shy about this tournament. And more importantly, he was able to deliver on the biggest stage with so much pressure. And I think it really began after the Saudi Arabia loss, just having that focus for the team. But also, you just look at his scoring and assist run in this tournament; it's unprecedented.
definitely. I mean, take nothing away from France. They played. Well, I would say they played. Mbappe played some of the best football I've seen him play in the whole tournament. I mean that second goal, I think it was the fastest goal
There
ever
was
scored.
97 seconds between both goals.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, France, they almost became the new Brazil basically with holding doing the World Cup twice back to back.
Mhm.
It just shows you how hard it
You
actually
also got to
is.
give it to Emi Martinez, who made that save right at the end, which basically stopped France from winning it.
Yeah, definitely. But you can also see, like I said, how hard it is to win back to back World Cups. I mean, because you've got to play some of the. I mean, especially nowadays, you've got some of the best players in the world playing. internationally, I mean, like obviously Mbappe came up against the best player of all time, in my opinion, Messi.
Yeah.
But that the way that the mentality of that team, you seen it after the Copa America with Argentina. They knew this was their time, and Martinez, like Boom said there, Martinez was pivotal in that. The penalty saves, the save at the end. It just shows you how determined they were to win this tournament for Messi.
Yeah. And I think, I always look at, especially in this final, what Scaloni did tactically, right? And let's just like talk about like, like I said, like if you were to show this match to anybody, if they don't know football at all, like this had goals, this had emotion, this had everything. But from a football fan that we'd like to look at tactics and this stuff, Scaloni went with four midfield and Deschamps through the kitchen sink until he was able to unlock it in the 80th minute with Mbappe, right? He put Mbappe back in the center and just was trying different combinations and different midfielders. And to me, that's what I look at in this matchup because Deschamps was just trying everything to get the victory because it's the World Cup final. This is the
Yeah,
moment. He didn't wait for the 60th minute to make changes. He did it right at the 40th, the 60th, and he was trying everything. And I think, Scaloni, you have to give a lot of credit for what he was able to do in the last two matches to find some tweaks there to help Argentina get a bit of advantage. Because as we saw in the first half, Argentina was looking, they could have scored three, right? And they could have ran away with this match. And on the counter, with France trying to throw everything with their talented midfield, they were able to find that combination on Lock and Mbappe. But again, from a tactical, I just love that cat and mouse that,
yeah,
Scaloni was just like, here it is what I'm doing, try to counter this. And Deschamps was like, you know what, we're going to take Griezmann off, we're going to take Giroud off, we're going to do this, we're going to take this guy off.
We
And I
saw a
really,
similar approach when they played the Netherlands. They went 2-0 up in that. Then it just became like a tweaks, and eventually, like Mbappe, Weghorst broke the deadlock for them, which made the game a bit more tactically in extra time.
yeah, definitely. And that's the thing is that Argentina doesn't have the type of midfield that can really possess and hold. And maybe that is one of the things that Scaloni did was take out Di Maria maybe a little too soon because I think Di Maria was having such a great game. But also the way you kind of what do you do, right? It's 2-0 the 75th minute. You think you're right there, and you put these changes to maybe protect that lead. And we've seen it all the time in sports and especially in football. When you make the wrong changes and that momentum happens, it's really hard to stop. And like you said, with Martinez making that, I would say probably one of the best World Cup saves in
yeah,
history, especially for the moment, the timing. The player did everything you wanted to do in France. He hit the volley perfectly. And yeah, and, like I said, it's taken me a couple of days to process. I've watched it now three times and I still just can't get over, you know, the, the the talent of both of these teams, the speed, the precision that was happening, and again, just the marksmanship of the goals. We've never seen it like that in a World Cup final. It's just, and I'm still floating from Messi and Argentina winning. When I still watch these replays, it's still again, like I said, it's just the magnitude of this match, right? The whole world watching, and to deliver the goods like this, it's incredible.
yeah. I think it was like 4.6 billion people
Yeah,
tuned
yeah.
in on
And then Aguero tried to sneak in like he was still Aguero in the L celebration.
Don't forget Salt Bay as well, who kind of snuck his way onto the field as well. But that's
Yeah.
probably for
But he
another.
didn't do the Aguero sneak attack and put it on the Argentina shirt again.
But still going on about that, because I seen a post today from Paulo Dybala.
Uh-huh.
It said he hasn't slept for 3 days. He's still in cloud nine. They've been partying left, right, and centre. I seen the
So Sandro Martinez just played the United centre back just played FIFA during the night after went straight on to play FIFA with Romero.
and I seen the celebrations in Buenos Aires. That was what can you say? That those pictures. I mean, that's probably those pictures live me forever. I mean, seeing all those fans. I think it was 4.5 million people turned
Yeah.
out.
Although the players almost got taken out by lines of cables in the.
Well,
they need to watch where they're going.
exactly. It's one of those things where, especially with what's happening in Argentina with with the political crisis that they're having, economic crisis. This is like a moment to celebrate the highs of what can happen with humanity, right?
Yeah,
And that's the crazy thing. I've been watching on TikTok all the videos. I've been consuming it all. Not only the people of Argentina that are living in Argentina, like all the people all over the world that are Argentine fans celebrating, watching
And
the final match.
this was their next Maradona, and to finally
Exactly.
win the World Cup like Maradona did. It's just completes the story for that.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the thing is, I would say Messi had even more pressure than Maradona, right? Because Maradona came before. And, I think what I think unlocked this was to finally get over the hump in Copa America. I think that's really something that was tangible. That's something that happened and it was most recent, right? With this coach. And I think that really helped them to get momentum and confidence for this tournament. But again, I picked France to win the tournament. They did make it to the final, but like you said at the beginning, to get to the final, but more importantly, to win back to back is one of the toughest things in
yeah,
sports. And I know France will be back, but again, it's so hard to climb back to this mountain because there's so many things that can happen. Injuries, we saw with Croatia and Brazil. You get some luck and some bounces here, and then you're out of the tournament.
exactly. Like you just said, of France. If you take France for instance, look at how many injuries they had just before the World Cup. I mean, obviously Karim Benzema, Ballon d'Or winner, Kante, Pogba, Theo Hernandez as well. No, sorry, Lucas Hernandez, because Theo was his brother. But you think of that team, would they have made a difference in that? In that, we would never know. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean that midfield of France that's settled for years. Like obviously Camavinga, Tuchemi. It's
yeah,
scary. It is scary. I mean, maybe not for your side of things if you've been a Barca fan, they're all from Real Madrid, but
yeah.
it's
I'm definitely very nervous because they just bring a different quality. But like you said, I would say France is probably the only team that can be affected with so many injuries and still perform at such a top level. I mean, you look at
yeah,
every other team. If Croatia loses Modric, no, they're not even getting to the levels that they did. They're one player away from doing that. And like you said, I think France is probably one of the only teams that can do that. But yes, as a Barca fan, I'm definitely nervous for the next 8 to 10 years with these players because they're not scared. They're not scared. They have so much talent and they're really physical. They're just a different type of midfielder than we have at Barca for sure.
yeah. Um, right, here we go. This is the big question. This is the main pod. This is the main question of the podcast tonight. And we've got a certain Real Madrid fan in the top corner, and we've got a Barca fan below me. So the question is the debate over between Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi? Guys, the floor is yours.
Well, I never really thought there was a debate. That's the thing
Yeah,
from a perspective of Messi. Now again, I definitely respect Ronaldo's accomplishments as a finisher and what he's done in his career, bar none. But from playing football, understanding football, it's just completely not even a comparison. What Messi does with the ball at his statue and the assist and goal ratio that he has, it's unmatched. Just take a look at the pass that he did in the Netherlands, that through the
yeah,
legs, no look. You're never, ever seen Ronaldo doing that type of play. Ever, ever. And the thing is, with when I look at this comparison, you know, again, we are blessed in this era just to have both of these top tier players for whatever. But to me, again, you just saw Messi not handle, but take on France basically with his team, and he was able to pull through. And you get the mix of everything. Look at the second goal of Argentina. You would never see Ronaldo do a flick like that pass that starts to counter. Now,
yeah,
Ronaldo has other attributes that are better than Messi, obviously being in the air with his height and physicality. And I would say Ronaldo's a better PK finisher and a just straight finisher, flush finisher. But other than that, I just don't think there's a debate. And now with the titles, if you look statistically with titles, it's Messi, nobody else. So what say you?
go on, boom, go on, boom. The floor is yours.
Oh, I do see all the points in there, but surely as someone who watch a Boyhood United fan and a Real Madrid fan, that I follow them both. I've had the close look at Ronaldo throughout his entire career at this point, from when he joined as a 16-year-old kid being flashy and everything to develop into essentially the world class player that he is. He worked on that because when he joined first, he was nowhere near. You wouldn't think he would become the best or one of the best as the things, but to work the dedication that that man has shown from joining Real Madrid and stuff, winning leagues for Real Madrid, winning them for United, winning a Champions League at both United and multiple at Madrid, then going to Juventus and winning trophies for them. He's done it in many different things. He's changed his game as he got older to be more of a prolific striker. When he started, he was a very good winger, but he's become more of a goal scorer. His penalty, as you said, great at penalty. His penalty conversion rate is 94%.
That's decent. That's decent.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
And we've seen him show up like in the Champions League is more the competition that he cares about, them, because you've seen at Madrid countless of times he turns up to get when he joined United the second time. One of the main reasons we got out of the Champions League group last season was because of him and his late goals coming out of nowhere to score the things. I've even seen him international level for Portugal. Portugal were completely against Ireland in Portugal, completely. Ireland were the better team for most of that, and then out of nowhere, Ronaldo, to write the script, scores 2 goals at the very end. He has that kind of knack about him that he just that can be disappeared for like most of the game and just show up to steal the entire headlines.
I mean, same can you say about Messi as well. I mean, Messi's probably got the most stats I've ever seen for walking football. The way he plays the game, I mean, obviously in his older years, he's became more of a kind of a tactically based player. You watch him in the World Cup there. He's walking around, but he's also looking his peripheral vision, always looking, see who's where can I make the next pass, who have I got beside me. That comes with obviously years of obviously being under like, the kind of Barcelona kind of mantra, like kind of tiki taka kind of play. But that doesn't come. That's not like kind of learned. That is his mentality. Who can I pass to? Where's my run going to be? How close am I to the goal to maybe make a shot or create a chance? Like you said, the one in the Holland game against the Netherlands, that pass through the legs, it was pinpoint to, it was literally on a sixpence. But I remember watching Messi, and this might be a wee bit of a hard one. It was when Celtic beat Barcelona 2-1 at Parkhead. Messi scored that night, but the way, that was my first ever time seeing him live in person, because obviously Argentina don't really play Scotland that often, or they play like one of the two, Celtic or Rangers. But the way he moves through the game, he glides. He's not got complete and utter pace and power like Ronaldo had. It's his creativity. It's the slow, the kind of center of gravity, the low center of gravity that he's got, and that's he's just one of the, if not, he is the best at what he does and what he has been doing for the last 20 odd years, and it's just a pleasure to see him win that holy grail for him.
I think throughout their careers, both of them have shown that they both have like that mentality to win games, because Messi has done it in countless of games for Barca, and he's done it for PSG this season for most of the time. You could say last season was more Messi's adapting season because he didn't show up as much. Put it down to new league for the first time. Wasn't really. Yeah, it can't happen to someone that's been at Barca for like ages.
Yeah. But like I said, on a talented spectacle of the, oh my God, I can't believe he just did that scale, and I know it's very arbitrary. There's no, I can't remember the last time where I was in awe of Ronaldo the same way I was Messi in a moment. Yeah. Like, for example, Ronaldo scores, great. He scores the goal, but I've never seen like Messi's chip against Betis, where he just chipped it outside the box on a one timer, and you're just like, what just happened? I've never seen that in football before, and he made it look like the easiest thing ever.
Yeah.
The goal against Mexico, for example, It's just you get these moments of Messi where your jaw is on the floor, and I just don't get the same reaction as Ronaldo. I always get the reaction, okay, like he got the header, he finished, great, like that's great. I've seen headers before.
One of like the moments that it did catch like mainly Juventus fans in awe at the time was that Real Madrid versus Juventus, one of that overhead bicycle kick just before the final.
Let me tell you this. Tell me your top two Ronaldo goals.
Okay, you think okay, I think of that one.
Like where you're like, not only did he finish it, but it was something that was just like magical or this romantic.
And my top one is the one he scored against Chelsea in the Champions League final, because I was watching that on my TV as a child. So that is.
I'm saying like in a football move, what did he do that are you talking more because of the moment of it was rather than what
I'm more I live in moments for stuff like that, with like Ronaldo. Right. He's whereas Messi, he can have this, he can run past people and skill. Ronaldo has always been to me a moments kind of person. He wants to be the person in the center of a moment at the end of a particular game.
So, like, when I think of the top three Messi goals, I think of the end-to-end run against Getafe, right? From end to end, let's say.
The Maradona-esque.
That has always been like Messi's kind of like style. He can run past it and do that kind of.
But that's also a moment where I would say, maybe at top like 4 footballers in history have kind of pulled that move off, Then the other one I would say is the free kick against Liverpool, where at the moment, that type of thing, where he beats the best keeper in the world at that moment, and the way he was able to hit that free kick, where you're just like, did I just see a 40-yard free kick like this, like in this moment? So those are what I'm talking about, these magical moments of Messi. And again, I also look at it, we're just going to look at statistics. Messi has more goals, and obviously he has 350 plus more assists. And that to me is just bar none, just how complete of a player he was.
Yeah, I mean, I always remember Messi's. This is going well back. I remember Messi's first goal when Ronaldinho passed it through to make chips to the keeper, and and then you knew a star was born. At that time, you knew everyone heard of Messi coming through the kind of ranks, but we never actually seen him until that actual moment when Ronaldinho, probably the best player at that time, basically. It's like handing the baton. It's like you take this kid and run with it. And that, like you said, that Liverpool goal, outstanding.
Like I just remember right now when Messi self-chipped himself in the Arsenal match against the Champions League, and just pass it home. Like there's these alien moments that you just see from Messi. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Ronaldo. I respect him, but I just don't. There's no debate.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Ronaldo is more like he just wants to be in the headline moments. Like you see him when he started with United, he just wanted to be the moments, kind of like when he scored that goal versus Porto from like well outside, where just shot. His entire team at the time was saying, "Do not shoot," and he did.
Yeah.
Now he's just always been that type of player. He just wants to be. I want a newspaper written about me straight away after this game.
Yeah. I mean, I go back to just that Betis goal a couple of years ago, where I literally put my hands on my head. I was just like looking around, and I was watching the game by myself, so I had no one to verify. And we have a Patreon WhatsApp group for our podcast, and people were just lighting it up, and I just couldn't fathom what I just saw with that chip against Betis. On the top corner, that type of thing. He's also done against Atletico Madrid, against Courtois. That type of thing where it was at the top of the box. And again, these are those things that going back to this really quick, like I can't remember the first time I saw Messi. I was thinking about this with these matches. He's just been in my life for the last 15, 20 years that I just can't remember the moment where he came into my life,
Yeah. I mean, one of the other goals I literally just popped into my head, the El Clasico game when Real Madrid literally just scored. And then 2 minutes later, the pass, end up in the back of the net by Messi, and then he takes his top off and just does that. Yeah. That'll live long in my memory. Sorry about that, Boom, but you had to bring up Chelsea when Ronaldo scored against Chelsea. So
no, I watched those games. Don't
worry. But
But the El Clasicos throughout the years with Ronaldo and Messi has been some of like the best El
yeah,
Clasicos that I
Sure.
remember.
for
The
sure.
rivalry between them two throughout the game.
I mean, the
And you
thing
also
is,
had like during that time you had Suarez and Neymar as well for like a lot
yeah,
of that too. And with Gareth Bale and when he was in good form at the time.
yeah, not
Yeah.
playing golf.
Mm.
The thing is, we could sit here until we're blue in the face talking left, right, and centre about playing Messi's history and Ronaldo's history as well. Well, growing history, shall we say? The thing is, we've been blessed with two top quality athletes. I mean,
Sure.
in our lifetime, we never seen like some Maradona and Pele or Di Stefano and Stoichkov, etc. We've been blessed with two. Well, I'll say one alien and one human, maybe, because like you said, Messi. Some of the things that Messi's done in the past
I'm
is
going
out of
to change that a bit, Chris, and say more superhuman because he's actually. I've said this many times. I've even said it to you, Chris, when I've
yeah,
come around to more recently Messi
yeah,
been up there since like the United situation with
yeah,
Ronaldo more recently. But I've said it's amazing for a man that came, the scrawny kid coming from Sporting to United, to get up into that conversation that there was even a debate in the first place for like some people. For
yeah,
him to develop from that scrawny kid that everyone was pushing over when he joined first and didn't even want the number 7 at the time to becoming to this talked about player that he is at the moment in the
definitely,
news is just amazing to see. That's what I call him, like more super, because no other human could have the lifestyle he does to keep that this shape of body. I'm
yeah,
just
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I think when you look at Ronaldo's trajectory going through, I think that is, as we always hear with athletes, it's like resiliency, nonstop hard work, extreme ethic, this type of thing, putting it all together with motivation, right? And this is what the kind of the results you get. And I think Messi is more obviously more naturally talented combined with the work ethic and that thing. But again, as I always say, I never want to take anything about Ronaldo. Like you said, we are blessed to see these two legends of football that we will never see the likes of again. And which is crazy is that we're in the midst of seeing Mbappe start with this, and Mbappe is another one that could eclipse the likes of these two as well. So there's just something we are lucky in this time because before, my first football memories are like Mexico '86 World Cup and watching the football then. Uh, couldn't even put a light to what we're seeing now, right?
yeah,
People, players would have careers that would last maybe 4 to 5 years. They weren't fast, they weren't dynamic, they would get a lot of injuries. Obviously, a lot's changed. But now, you just see what you can do, the longevity of being in shape, finding the right club that suits you, and seeing where that takes you to these heights. And it's just incredible, especially,
and
like
for
you
the
just
many
said.
years that they were always in like the top 3 of the Ballon d'Or.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. That too, and also just the rivalry, especially at being a Barca fan, how intense it was. Like every Clasico was nail biting, tense, stress. Now it's not as much, obviously, because it's kind of lost that teeth, with Mourinho and Pep and all that stuff. But I will forever be grateful for those type of rivalries. As being as an American sports fan, I love rivalries. I've had them all throughout my life. From where I'm from, San Francisco, with San Francisco versus Dallas in American football, and that was major in the '90s, and to kind of go through this with Madrid and Barca, especially with Ronaldo and Messi, I've been very lucky to be part of and be a fan of this rivalry.
definitely, definitely. Now, now we can kind of chill out a little bit more. Now we've had our debate in regard about Ronaldo and Messi. So it is a holiday period, and what says more about the holiday period? But sitting around the fire, having a nice cup of tea, a beer, whatever, and watching football. It's this weekend. You've got football coming out your ears. So Monday we have got the Boxing Day games. So just kind of going to quickly run through some of the games, not all of them, but some of them. Ones that kind of take my eye. So I'm just seeing here. There is a mistake on my PDF that I've just noticed. Everton are playing Fulham, and then Crystal Palace are playing Fulham at the exact same time, which I don't think is going to be happening. So, so we'll start with the half 12 game, a London derby, Brentford versus the NFL kicker supreme, Harry Kane. What do you
Everton
think?
are playing Wolves, by the way. Just the
Everton are playing Wolves. Get that quickly changed.
So I have a quick question because this is something that is not a tradition for me, is the Boxing Day football.
Yeah.
And I was curious to see that it was still going to continue this year, but also with having all the World Cup stars, are they going to be able to participate, especially coming back from that tournament? But also just really quick, if you can kind of give me some of your feelings about boxing, because in Spain we don't have this. In Spain, our season starts the 28th, and
You see, we've actually
we never have
started
a
like
holiday. So.
earlier because, like, for like United's perspective, United had to play the Carabao Cup yesterday.
Okay.
So they were against Burnley who won the championship, and they had no players and things, so they were actually playing the championship. Already started their competitive season back, so they were 2 games into it. So you could tell the match sharpness wasn't there for the players that didn't go to the World Cup within the squad.
Yeah.
I mean,
But let me really quickly with Boxing Days. Would you say this would be the most important football holiday on the calendar, like as just a general fan?
yeah. Well, if you think on it, I mean, looking at the kind of times they've got,
It
like,
usually is the halfway point that sets people on the. At this point, it's not because we've not even anywhere close to the halfway point of
Yeah.
the season because of the delay. But it's usually where you would set your next bit of the season into
That makes sense.
form.
Yeah.
I mean, again tonight you've got Liverpool versus Man City, which is kicking off just now
In the cup, and they also
cup.
play, and Liverpool play on Boxing Day themselves, so they have the quick turnaround for them.
This is what's crazy with the EPL is that you guys don't have breaks. You know, like this during the winter time in Spain, they always have a 2 to 3 week window, and they start after Christmas. So
yeah,
it's why it's always been debated that with the Premier League having too many games for like players.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, right. I mean, for me, Boxing Day. I mean, since I started growing up, like watching football and all that, Boxing Day was like kind of me and my dad like just sat beside the TV and watched every game that we could if it was whatever was on. My mum didn't like it, mind, but she was kind of relegated. She was kind of relegated to the other room. But yeah, I think football. I mean, especially around the holiday time, it is one of those ones you want to spend with friends, family, kind of, and football. If you're into it as well, is a great way to bring people together.
I love Boxing Day because the fact that Man United have not lost a home game on Boxing Day since 1978.
But Manchester United are not playing on
Boxing Day. I know they don't play on Boxing Day this time, but I'm saying that's why I like Boxing Day fixtures.
So, right, quickly going kind of wrap up this kind of Boxing Day. So, Brentford versus Tottenham. What do we think? How do you think this game will go? Boom.
I mean, Tottenham, before the break, Tottenham were not in the best of situation form-wise.
Yeah.
For themselves, and pretty much the style of Conte wasn't really working, especially in like the more bigger games. They've had to rely on essentially Bentancur to bail them out in the last few games.
Yeah. And how do you here's like Gabriel just said, like players coming back from the World Cup. How do you think Harry Kane's going to be after this one? After
I don't know, he's seeing the keeper his keeper from France that right in front of him every day.
Well, I mean, the good thing is that he also lost as well, right? So it's not going to be something that is, But that is a curious thing because, especially, Kane's last penalty and then playing this, how is it going to be received? Again, that's such a difficult thing, man. To have that pressure and to come back and play like this, like you said, Conte as well, like he hasn't had the team playing all that well recently. And again, I think it's kind of hard to start like this. I think you kind of almost need to ramp up in the middle of the week to get going. But is this match at Tottenham?
It's at Brentford, so it's at the community stadium. So it's exactly that's a horrible place to go.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like we also don't know the kind of motivation of Son after like his World Cup.
Exactly. They never
Yeah.
had. Well, they had an okay World Cup, but they never hit the heights that they have.
Mm.
I mean, Son was non-existent in that World Cup, but was that maybe
Yeah.
down to his injury as well?
And he also
That's
looked very sad by the end of it, so you wonder if that's
yeah.
still.
I mean, definitely
Yeah,
Son
but
was playing.
I think more of the telling thing is it's at Brentford.
Yeah,
I think that is more going to dictate this type of match where you know how it is when these lower tier teams are playing at home. They just make it so muddy and
Yeah,
difficult
and
for opponent.
we gotta keep in mind just before the break, Brentford got that 2-1 win over City.
So there you go.
very much.
You know,
Another one, Everton versus Wolves. That's a difficult one because both teams are in that bottom half of the league. I mean, Wolves, they've just got a
Well,
new
new
manager with
manager
Lopetegui.
bounce potentially.
Yep, Lopetegui. But Everton, they're
You
a bit
would
of a
probably, from a La Liga perspective, yeah, you probably know like
yeah, I'm not the
Lopetegui a
biggest
small bit.
Lopetegui fan, so I think he's very overrated. But I'm curious to see what he does because I don't think he speaks English very well. So
yeah, it's
that's
kind of
always
broken
crazy.
English.
Yeah, but that's always crazy to me that I understand these managers, like Unai Emery, for example, and Lopetegui, they want to come to the Premier League because it's, prestigious and money. But to me, I also see it as like, how do you communicate with your players? I know you can get a translator, but it's still not the same. I know these teams are international, but again, like with Lopetegui, with his last stint at Sevilla, he had a boring brand of football, and he's going to have less talented players on Wolves, compared to what he had at Sevilla, and he wasn't like an imaginary type of trainer, that was
Yeah,
going to come up with like cool tactics or cool style. And, especially with the debacle at, with the Spanish national team and with Real Madrid,
yeah,
I just, I think he's going to flood, basically just kind of stick in the bottom with Wolves, and again, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know. He doesn't bring any, like I couldn't say to you, he's going to bring an exciting attacking football. No. His teams really defend well. No. Like they're just average across the table. So,
yeah.
And it's
Another
also
one.
be interesting, Chris, because we talked about it before from like international manager. Remember when Trapattoni, like at
Yeah,
Ireland and stuff, with translator didn't really work, and with Wolves they have an Irish enter back in Nathan Collins, who speaks highly
exactly.
like the communication. He would not know any bit of any language like he's going to be speaking.
I mean,
Definitely.
just think about like your day to day at work, right? Like, imagine you had your boss who was, English is his third language, right? And he's trying to tell you just the basics of the job. I mean, I can't imagine, trying to tell someone a tactical, antidote or something like that in my third language to a player who maybe doesn't understand it completely and then doesn't follow through. I always find that very difficult. And Lopetegui, I hope he's taking some English classes.
Definitely.
Hopefully,
Um,
during the break he has. We never know.
a couple other ones for Boxing Day. So we've got an interesting one: Leicester City versus Newcastle United. How can the question is, can Newcastle continue their good form before the break, or is that break came at the wrong time for them? Because we were kind of talking about it before, Almiron, one of the most improved player for Newcastle, and
I
how
will tell you, apart from the City game, actually one of the most informed teams coming before the break was Leicester City.
yeah, exactly. Well, I think they had to because you
Yeah,
think
they had the Brendan Rodgers under a lot of pressure, but then they they got a few results on after that 6-2 against Tottenham. They started picking up a
yeah,
win here
definitely.
and there, and then they really kicked on
I
against Leeds, and they've been winning ever since. Apart from that City, because it's against City, although that was only to one goal in that game.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you say the momentum in this break. I think yes, it hurts them, but at the same time, I think this break is going to benefit a lot of teams, especially in the bottom half of the table, because I think through attrition through the season, right? You see these teams start off well, September, October, and then through injuries and depth and stuff like that, by the time they hit Boxing Day, these teams are just kind of in the middle or below the pack. Like a team like Newcastle, for example, I think this is going to really benefit because it's going to give him another push of break, right? They didn't have a lot of internationals that went to the World Cup. I think this is really going to help them. I would, if I were betting on this match, I'd probably pull Newcastle.
Yeah,
Um,
both clubs were in form going into this game.
yeah, and the
Yeah,
last one from
I have a feeling. That's just
Mm.
my, yeah.
and the last one for Boxing Day is another London derby, and involves Arsenal versus West Ham, which again,
Top of the table versus 16 to West Ham.
Arsenal lost in Jesus for 3 or 4 months at least. What's the players going to be coming back like? West Ham, not in the greatest form as well. It's at the Emirates, so it's at Arsenal.
Yeah, so I would say, just based on that, I would probably give the edge to Arsenal, but
Derby, some potential banana skin.
This is what I was gonna say.
Mm.
It's very, and with this type of derby, who knows how Arsenal are going to come back? The momentum is a funny thing, right? To especially after this type of break, Arsenal are playing some electric football. People are really excited about what they're doing, and again, we'll see if they can just flip on that switch. I mean, that's what, and West Ham is one of those teams that can just muddy it up as well. A lot of elbows, So
yeah.
And West Ham are a team that very need results in this
very
next
much
part of the thing.
I mean, if you look at West Ham, I think their European campaign has hampered them.
They've done very well in Europe in the Conference League, but
yeah.
they've not been able to show that in the Premier League.
And the last 2 games on Tuesday, it's Chelsea versus Bournemouth and Manchester United versus Forest. And I like from a American perspective, I'm a Chelsea supporter. Todd Boehly, interesting appointment from owner for Chelsea, hiring and firing basically. What's the kind of vibe from America with him? Do you know much about him?
I don't.
No.
Unfortunately, I don't follow that much MLS or American soccer, and I've been totally disconnected. I think mainly because out of spite for what the U.S. national team has done to me in the last 20 years, I was always on the cusp. I was like, we're right there. And nothing happens. So unfortunately, I don't have too much insight. I've kind of, it's funny with this World Cup with the U.S. national team that came in. There was a lot of hubbub from the States about this team being more talented, and they were. But again, just like any other team that's trying to find their voice, we still don't have a style, and we have a lot of problems, and we're never going to be that good. And so, especially with the league, with MLS league not coinciding with the rest of the world, there's just a lot of issues that kind of prohibits the U.S. soccer from developing further.
I mean, we had a podcast like kind of started like kind of when we came back, the future of the US national team, and one of our co-hosts Gormy, he's like, it is basically Berhalter. It's causing all the issues, and we've seen that post World Cup with the Giovanni Reina type situation where it's. I mean, you've got 4 years to sort out.
Let me ask you this. Let's say we were just talking about Brentford and stuff. It's like when you are a team that is lacking resources and that type of thing, I feel like you have to have some sort of style, like really some sort of style that you're going to go over the top on, whether that's 4 forwards or something out of the ordinary, right? Because you have to do something to just put you in the match where when you play against these teams, they're like, oh my God, we're playing Brentford. They have 4 forwards. Like, what are we going to do? Something crazy like this, And with the U.S. national team, there's something that we need to do. We need to find that style. I think our style for the U.S. should be more like a 4-4-2 Atletico style. There's defense, corner kicks, and that's it. We have no imagination. We have no imagination on how to attack. So
just hire Simeone and you'll be sorted. Last thing. So this is Jono couldn't be here tonight. He was meant to be on tonight. So he sent us a wee video just for tonight. I sent him with 3 or 4 questions. So just gonna quickly play us just now.
Hey guys, sorry I can't be on the show this week. It's Jono here, and yes, I've got some questions that Chris has asked me to answer. So, surprise package of 2022 player or club. I'm going to give you 2, and both from the same club. And my surprise, I know they spent a lot of money, but they've spent it really sensibly. And the way after the takeover, the way the club's being run now, compared to the previous ownership, I'm going to go Newcastle as my club because they've been run really well. Spent the money sensibly compared to where Man City just splashed the money straight away on all loads of players. They spent the money really sensibly, so they're going to be my surprise club. And I really think they've got a chance of getting the top 4 this season, which is really quick. And Eddie Howe is doing a really good job there. And surprise player, also from Newcastle. You've got to go Almiron. He's on fire at the moment for Newcastle. Got more before the World Cup. He got more goals and assists in that 1 month than Jack Grealish has got in his whole career at Man City so far, and he was £80 million. So yes, Almiron will be my surprise player of the season. Player that's failed to live up to expectations this season. This is a hard one. There is a few, but I am going to go for Jack Grealish. He's still not hitting the numbers he is expected at Man City for what they have paid, and we've just not seen that Jack Grealish that we saw at Aston Villa yet. So I'm going to go Jack Grealish as my player who has not hit the numbers we'd expect from him yet. Will he get a move in the summer? Will he stay? There was a few rumours a few months back that he's just not very settled there. Will he stay at Man City or will he move on? That'd be an interesting debate to have, especially if he wants to get back in that starting 11 for England come the next Euros. Manager you think has defined expectations this season? Again, I'm going to Newcastle and I'm going to say Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe has done an amazing job at Newcastle. He came in when the new owners came in. Quite quickly, there was rumours that they wanted someone bigger. Even they hired him, but they stuck with him, which is proven with another manager at Arsenal. If you stick with a manager, give him time. If he's the right manager, he will deliver. And Eddie Howe is delivering the same as Arteta is at Arsenal. So I'm going Eddie Howe at Newcastle. Your own personal favourite moment of the World Cup, it's got to be that Saudi Arabia win over the champions Argentina. I won a bet on it. I won 80 quid on it. So you can't grumble at that. But yeah, what a win for the Saudis. And you could see what it meant for them. So I'm going to go to win Saudi Arabia in the group stages against our new champions, Argentina. And then second, it's got to be that moment for Argentina in the final. Messi finally getting that World Cup, the only thing he hasn't won yet. So congratulations to them. And back over to the guys on the pod.
It's almost like he mentioned that bet before multiple times.
Exactly. Again, and we don't want to improve. So we don't want to promote betting. But please do bet responsibly.
And there's a lot of. It's almost like you can tell that he's a United fan. A lot of Jack Grealish might not like City.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that I look at the Jack Grealish situation very similar to when Coutinho was at Barca, where it's a player of a higher profile, but you're just kind of like, where does he fit in? Like where?
Yeah.
Like when I watch Grealish in Man City, I'm just like, no, that doesn't work. It doesn't look right, you know. And I understand he tried, he made the move because he wanted to go to a more prestigious club, better competition and stuff. But again, I don't know. If he can't unlock it this year, I think Man City have to let him go because Jack Grealish needs to be on a team where he can play in and out without a doubt.
Definitely.
To run through it quickly, Chris, about the boy, I think Chelsea will be fine against Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth are going through a organizational shift with the new owner.
And Chelsea aren't.
They have in there.
Jesus.
You're having a manager. You've already had the ownership at the start of the season. They've just started their process. And with United Forest, it's going to be an interesting game. Jesse Lingard's return to Old Trafford.
Scoring a hat-trick.
And Dean, they don't have their first choice keeper for us because he's on loan from United. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So, Gabriel, I'm going to quickly ask you before we let you go. Barcelona, are we going to see a different Barcelona in the new year, or do you think it's going to be much the same?
You're starting off with a derby. I saw in your next
Yeah, but
Espanyol.
unfortunately, the biggest thing that's going to happen is managing these midweek matches in the Europa League on Thursday nights. So it's going to be a new thing for us.
Yeah,
And
you have Manchester United in the first.
yeah, and that's the other thing. And so, obviously the league is the main focus, and we will see how Xavi balances it. But again, as we've been talking in our community, it's one of those things that we need to make it adaptations, and I want to see better coaching from Xavi. So that's the thing. I don't want him just to be able to go to the grocery store to buy players because I think that is the wrong way to approach it. Just be like, oh, we're just gonna get this guy and that guy. No, no, no. You got to develop some of these players. You got to do this. That is coaching. And so that's what I'm gonna be looking for the rest of the season. I mean, obviously we have Lewandowski, but again, it's the management of this team to get better results against tougher opponents. That's where it's going to come down to this season.
Definitely.
As it is now, Gabriel, do you think, as I know you're top of the table at the moment, do you think you can stay in that way?
No. No.
Short and sweet answer. Love it.
I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth. I think we're going to have a chance going into maybe the last 3 weekends to get there. But again, it's such a gauntlet between going from Champions League where you have Tuesday, Wednesday matches and Thursday matches. It's just going to be such
that's been
and also how, like, let's say if Barcelona lose in the first leg here of Europa League, like what does that say for Xavi's European credentials? Those are those things. You can't just say we're focused on league and then just be shunned out by Manchester United on Europa League with not even trying. You can't go through this, especially if you're trying to build a project, as you just mentioned with Arteta
and it'll be an interesting game, that Europa League game, given that it's two different projects. Xavi starting his project with Barca and Ten Hag's project at United. It's two up-and-coming projects going against each other in the earliest round of a knockouts.
Yeah, really quick, just on the last thing, it's like when I look at the managers, I look at Ten Hag and I think he does more creativity tactical wise than Xavi does. Xavi's always just like, we're gonna go 4-3-3 and spread them out. Whereas Ten Hag, I would say, he can come up with a little surprise here and there, especially on a European night. So that's what scares me, because I can see it going a lot of different ways. So.
Perfect. So, just last thing from myself. So this is a bit of a plug for us. We are now accepting applications to the Football Nation. So, if you are interested in joining our great podcast, have a chat to speak with Gabriel and all the kind of other guests we have got lined up in the new year, please head over to our Twitter at the FN Pod. Also, you can join our Discord as well. You'll get more information on there. But apart from that, Gabriel, thank you very much for coming on short notice.
No worries. Have a good Christmas, Boxing Day. Enjoy the football.
Thank you very much. And where can we find you as well? Just to let the guys know.
Yeah, you can find our podcast on Spotify and Apple, just Barca Talk Podcast, and also on Twitter at Barca Talk Pod. So,
thank you very much, Gabriel. Well, you have a great holiday and have a good one when
enjoy the rest of your day, since you said it was early.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks. Take care, guys.
No problem, Gabriel. Thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers.
And boom, where can we find you?
You can find me at Twitter at crazyboom, 2 underscores at the end, and the same on Twitch, and Boompool on YouTube, as always. And here, from now on, which maybe we'll see some new people eventually, but here you can find me on this podcast going forward, because we love it here, don't we, Chris?
We certainly do. And you can also find me on Twitter, Chris_Watt89. Follow me on there. And like Boom said, we can find us on the Football Nation podcast every Thursday night from 8 o'clock.
Find us in the Discord. You can join that too. We have a Discord.
Join our Discord. Join our if you want to join our podcast team, applications are on Twitter and in our Discord channel as well. Please, if you have any questions, please get in contact with us at the Football Nation podcast team, and we're more than happy to help you. But for now, it is good night from me, and Merry Christmas to you all. And boom, last from yourself.
And Merry Christmas to all and to everyone. And a Happy New Year to the rest of you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Boom. And thank you very much for everyone joining in tonight. Again, find us on Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and on the sports social podcast network. Try to remember that there. But thank you very much for joining us tonight, and have a good Christmas.